Hello everybody and welcome back to Cinema in Space. Today I actually want to talk about Pacific Rim again. This may be the last time I talk about it for a while. It's not a review, it's actually something that's pointing out the continuity errors between the graphic novel and the movie itself. Now, if you're as big of a nerd as I am and you've read this, to build yourself up for the movie and, you actually thought about it enough, you're going to figure out the continuity errors between this and the movie. Now, it's not that big of a deal. This was clearly just made just to get everyone hyped up for the movie. That's fine. It's no big deal. But I just want to point some things out that the movie doesn't really explain. Now, first things first, and this is about the beginning of the movie. What I'm led to believe is, remember that intro? One thing that we're led to believe is that these kaiju are going to start attacking us this year on August 10th. And that doesn't happen, I'm going to feel lied to. But they say in the beginning of the movie that the first kaiju attack, it took 6 days, some hours, some minutes, with multiple planes and tanks. In this, they show that there are planes that are attacking it. Very many planes and jets, stuff like that. But in this, it's not the jets that bring it down. It's a nuke. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, it happens on K-Day, and they decide to nuke the monster, the kaiju. It wasn't... They had planes attack it, and they decided to nuke it instead of, just wasting all of the funds on tanks and jets and all that stuff. And it happened on one day, not 6 days, some hours, some minutes. And it was because of the fact, and they explained that it's because of the nukes that they came up with the Jaeger program. They wanted a more controlled thing. They wanted something they could control more, a more controlled way to fight them. With a nuke, you can't really control it, so they created these Jaegers in order to fight off the kaiju. That's the one thing I found out. Another thing, now this is just something that they mentioned in the comic, is what's his name? Idris Elba. He has a sister named Luna. She's in this comic, and she dies. Her character gets killed off. She dies sacrificing herself, and she fails with her sacrifice. You can't really see it. She tries to pretty much shove a bomb down the kaiju's throat. I know this is kind of hard to see, but the kaiju ultimately kills her, making her sacrifice useless, and that's her death right there. I know a lot of people probably are wondering why I just scan these and put them up. One thing I gotta say is I don't have a scanner and I don't have a video editor to edit with this, so I'm just using the YouTube capture. And they show in the movie that he has a lot of troubled past. He has a very big troubled past, but they don't explain that part to it. They only show that he, at one point, rode a Jaeger on his own, and he saved Mako. And also, they show that he at one point also had a co-pilot Jaeger, and she winds up dying through cancer. They don't go into detail about that in the movie either. See, these are just minor gripes, but these are very important pieces that they leave out of the movie. And it kind of makes me wonder personally whether or not the people who wrote this were just given kind of an outline to the characters and just given free will, because there are some big continuity errors. And they kind of stand out if you've read this and you see the movie. Like I said with the first one, the whole nuking them instead and it happening in one day. And with the whole, thing about his sister and his partner dying. And another thing they explain in this is that they actually do explain that Mako was adopted by him. In the movie, they don't explain that. They just say he took her and raised her. That's not the same thing as adopting. In this, they do state that he adopted the girl. And another thing the movie doesn't go into, but I think if they went into this, I think it just would have dragged on, is that at one point Jansen Riley did have a bit of a feud with and it involved a girl. If they would have went into that, it would have been obnoxious, but they left that out, so it's no big deal. Yeah, there's just some minor things in this that they either kind of didn't really think about it, or, you know, it was just, you know, a last minute thing. I really couldn't tell you where the mess ups actually happened. I mean, I could tell you where they happened in the graphic novel and the errors in the movie, but I'm not sure which one was the one that technically messed up, because the movie was made and then this was made. But it would have been better had they had more, you know, connection with each other, had someone, you know, had more detail to it. But, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, it's just a movie. It's no big deal, but it's just something I was just thinking about, and, you know, just, it's fun, you know. The only time you can really pick on something like this is if you really do enjoy it. Like, I'm not going into it like I'm just like, this movie, it has all these errors, this has errors in it. And, you know, I'm not doing that here. I'm just showing you, I'm just having fun. This is just fun. And it's totally unscripted, as you can tell. I have a lot of those moments where I pause. But, you know, the only time you really go into detail and start nitpicking things is when you really do love it. Like, I can nitpick The Lost Boys to death if I wanted to. I can nitpick all my favorite movies to death if I wanted to. Because, you know, you see them so many times and you love them. That's why you do it. You love your favorite movies. Like, people can nitpick Star Wars. I've nitpicked Star Wars before. If you love something, you nitpick it. That's just the way it is. And it's all a matter of whether or not the movie can keep you interested in it, minus the nitpicks. And Pacific Rim did that. Pacific Rim is awesome, and so did this. Like I said, there are problems with it in my review. Some of the characters are off, like Jansen Riley. They kind of look like, you know, generic white boys, and they look very, very identical. In the movie, they also look very identical, too. They never say they're twins. They're not twins. They even say one's older than the other one. And at one point, you do see a younger Jansen Riley in this. Let me find it for you real quick. And like he said in the movie, the first kaiju made landed in San Francisco when he was about 15. Meanwhile, the world stopped right there. There's young Jans, young Riley. And I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a young Mako or if that's just like a little girl. I think that's probably a young Mako, but who knows? They don't really explain who that is. It's just kind of a girl. It would have been nice if they would have went into detail about, you know, why Idris Elba had to go solo, because of the fact that, you know, he lost his co-pilot. He had to fight the one kaiju solo in the Jaeger. And they left that out. But like I said, this was written after the movie was made, so they probably didn't think of it. So it's just one of those things where, unless you've seen the movie before, like if you haven't read this, it doesn't matter. But if you read this and seen the movie, you'll be able to point it out. But it's not that big of a deal. Like I said, it's just all in good fun. Anyways, the movie is still solid. This is still solid in its own right. Check them both out. You know, do your nitpicks if you want. It's just all in good fun. Just remember, just have fun with them. It's a movie that's made for fun. It's like, you know, the modern day Independence Day, even though I do like this a bit more than Independence Day. And yes, I do very much enjoy Independence Day. And, you know, we probably won't get another movie like this until Godzilla comes out, which is next year. But, you know, when I get depressed because I remember I still have to wait through fall, the rest of the summer, fall, winter, and then spring in order to get to, you know, my new Godzilla film. But until then, we got Pacific Rim to keep you guys entertained. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely see it now, because it's not making that much money, and it's either this wins or Grown Ups 2 is going to win. And I do not want to see Grown Ups 2 completely beat this movie out. So please get your friends together, get some family together. It's a blast of a film. Have some fun, and just take care, guys. Thank you for joining me in the Cinema in Space.